Up until now, we have been discussing various ways to hack into computers, but we haven't discussed what to do after hacking into yet. So suppose that you have a Meterpreter session and you don't know what to do. So within the section, we're going to focus on that issue and we're going to see some various commands of Meterpreter sessions in order to have an efficient hacking session. So now if you're ready, let's get started.
Hi, within this section, we're going to discuss what can we do after we hack into the target system. Up until now, we focused on hacking into the target system, hacking into the computer and systems by backdoors or by exploiting some vulnerabilities. In the end, we got a session. Most of the time we got a Meterpreter session and we didn't do much with it, right? We just ran some commands like ls before. Now we're going to dig a little deeper. So I'm running my MSF console, my Metasploit framework in my Kali Linux, and also I have my Windows open on the other side with NAT network, of course. So I'm going to use my previous backdoors in order to have a session in here. So I'm going to say use exploit multi-handler because that's what we're using in order to listen incoming connections in the MSF console like we did before. So if you say show options, you won't see anything because we didn't set the payload yet. So I'm going to do it with set payload Windows Meterpreter and reverse HTTP. I'm doing this stuff a little fast because by now you should know how to do them. Okay, we did it before, we did it a lot of times actually. So it says that this is not valid. I believe I should have said reverse HTTP rather than HTTP reverse. So if I say show options, then I can see that I have to set my lhost, and remember my IP address was 10.02.15. Of course you can get yours by running ifconfig in another terminal. So let me make sure it was 10.02.15. Yeah, it was 10.02.15. And my L port was already 8080, so it's okay, I can run exploit. Since now I'm listening for incoming connections in here, I can go to my Windows machine and run my backdoor. If you didn't watch the backdoor section, I suggest you go back and do that because we have created a backdoor that works. So I'm just going to run this in here. The Kirk payload or James payload, I'm not going to run outside network payload that we have created because I'm now working in a NAT network. I'm just testing this, and we already seen how to run this in an external environment as well. So I think it's okay to test this on NAT network right now. So if you double click on one of the payloads that you have created before, it will open a connection from the Windows machine to your Kali machine, and you can get it in here. So let me maximize this window because we are done with the Windows. We're going to continue with the Kali Linux. At this point, if this session doesn't get created for you, you can also try to run this with exploit jz. So exploit-j-z. And this will run the exploit in the background, and sometimes it helps creating sessions. And if the Meterpreter session is in the background, you can reach that session by running sessions L. And in our case, it seems to be in the background as well, so I'm going to run sessions-L. As you can see, now we see the Meterpreter session that we have. And the ID is important in here because we're going to use the ID number. We can also see the connection, which IP is coming from which IP, and we can see the information and the type as well. And you can, of course, have multiple Meterpreter sessions at once. So if you want to interact with any of those, you can run sessions-1, for instance, and it will give you the Meterpreter session. Now we are in the Meterpreter session. Now we can run some Meterpreter commands. And if you say background at any time, it will take you to the MSF console one more time. And you can do that without losing the connection with the target. It's very important not to lose connection because you only have one chance. Since you got that chance, you should not mess it up. You should not close the connection by mistake. So if you run background, it will just take you to the Metasploit framework without having to lose the connection. Now if I run sessions1 again, it will take me to my Meterpreter session once again. So what next? I can run sysinfo to get the general system information. As you can see, I got the computer, I got the operating system, the architecture, system language, and everything. So I know my target is using Windows and they have a 64-bit computer and they speak English. And beyond that, Meterpreter has really cool features, really cool commands. You can see all the command list by typing help in the Meterpreter session, and it will give a list with descriptions so you can try to build your own post-hacking strategy with it. For example, let me run help, and as you can see, they are even categorized because there are so many of them. For example, here we have webcam stream command, and it opens the webcam of the target user. Okay? Of course, you can try this right now, but since we are using a Windows virtual machine, it will say that this target doesn't have a webcam. As you can see, in fact, this target doesn't have a webcam. And you can try to just read all of these commands in order to understand what Meterpreter is doing. I'm going to stop here because within the next lectures we're going to discuss the very important commands of the Meterpreter once again, but I suggest you take a look around at this whole list. Hi! Within this lecture, we're going to see a very important command of the Meterpreter, which is migrate, and it lets us hide our backdoor in another service. If you run ps in Meterpreter, it will list the ongoing processes on the target machine. So this is like ls, but rather than listing the available folders and files, it lists the available processes running on the target machine. So let me make this a little bit bigger. As you can see, we have a lot of services running on the target machine. So we have a process ID and the name of the process in here. So most of them are actually the default Windows services, okay? Like services.exe, svc.exe, winlogon.exe. They are default run by the Windows when we first open our computer. And if you scroll down a little bit, you will see other services as well, like WinZip, and we have our kirknewpayload.exe in here. If for some reason the target gets suspicious and try to run and see the services they are running on the Windows machine, they will see this kirknewpayload. And they will see this is running on the downloads folder, so they can try to go to this downloads folder and delete and stop the kirknewpayload.exe. And in that case, we will lose our connection, and we don't want that to happen. So what we're going to do is to bury this kirknewpayload inside of another service, another process, so that even though our target tries to see what's going on their computer, they won't see the Kirk new payload.exe. So we have to find a service, we have to find a process to bury, to migrate this Kirk new payload.exe into. Okay? In order to do that, just choose a service, just choose a process that doesn't look suspicious at all. We have a lot of them, like this explorer.exe. Every system runs this explorer.exe, or every system runs this skypehost.exe. We can find a lot of default process in here, like services.exe and maybe svchost.exe. I'm just going to go with the explorer.exe. All you have to do is get the PID of this explorer, process ID of this explorer, and I believe it's 2824. So if I say migrate to explorer.exe, I would have said migrate 2824. And if you hit enter, it will take your current session, it will take your current payload.exe, and it will hide it into the explorer.exe. After you see this migration completed successfully, I suggest you run ps one more time to list the available process going on the target machine. So if we look at this list right now, we won't see Kirk new payload.exe. But as you can see, we still have the session. We still have the connection going on with the target computer, but if they just try to see the available processes on their computer right now, they won't see Kirk new payload is running. So we still have the connection and target cannot see it running on their computer. So this is a very good feature, and this should be one of the first things that you do as soon as you got the connection from the target computer when you are trying to pen test into a user computer. Okay, so once you get the session, try to migrate. So let's stop here, and we'll continue seeing the different kinds of features of Meterpreter sessions in the next lecture. Hi! Within this lecture, we're going to see how to upload and download files from the target computer, with using Meterpreter sessions, of course. So if you have the session, if you completed the migration, now you are ready to browse, discover the folders and files of the target computer. We have already seen the sysinfo, and we know this target uses Windows, so we know this target has a downloads folder. If we run pwd, we will see that we are currently in the system32. So if I run ls, it will display the available folders and files for me. And it should take some time because it's getting a lot of information from the target and it's displaying to you. And in system32 folder, we have a lot of files and folders, as you can see. And they are all system files and folders. Maybe we cannot find any useful information in here, so better we try to go to another folder and try to find the downloads or documents folder of the user. So in order to do that, we will do standard cd ... and pwd and ls commands. So first of all, I'm going to run cd ... in order to go one back and once more. So if I run ls right now, you will see we are in the C right now. So I can just go cd users, and if I run ls, now I can see default users. Now we want to go to the IE user. Of course, if it was a real computer, we would see the real username of the user. So if I run ls, now I can see I have access to desktop or documents or downloads. So let me try to go to downloads and run ls, and as you can see, we now have the content of the downloads. Now, if we want to upload or download something from here, it's easy. You use the upload command in order to upload a file, then you specify the name of your folder or file that you want to upload. If I had a backdoor.exe in here, I would have written like this. But I'm not going to do that since we already have Meterpreter session opened. I don't need to upload anything at this moment, but I would have wanted to download something, right? So let me go to my Windows machine and to my downloads folder, and let me, for example, create a text document in here and say that this is my secret password list. So my secret passwords, and we can edit this, of course, and have some arbitrary arguments in here like 1 2 3 4 5. Suppose that these are the secret passwords of the user, so they have a file that we want to obtain in the downloads folder. Now if I run ls, I will see the new content in here as well. It will be displayed in here, as you can see, my secret passwords. If I say cat my secret passwords.txt, it will get the content and display it to me. And now I have the passwords of the user. Now if I want to download this all together, then I can run download my secret passwords.txt, and it will take this file and save it on my Kali Linux. So if I hit enter, it will say that my secret password is downloaded. So let me try to find this file by going into my folders from here, okay? Just click on your file system and you have to find your root, and it opens by default, and as you can see we have this my password file. So I will delete it, I don't need it, but you know now how to download and how to upload files. As you can see, Meterpreter really has some cool features. I suggest you run help and look for others as well, but we're going to stop here and continue seeing another features and other commands of the Meterpreter in the following lectures as well. Hi! Within this lecture, we're going to see how to use the keylogger feature of Meterpreter, and this is much more helpful than we did in the man-in-the-middle framework section, because we can capture the data easily and we can capture the data that makes sense, in this case with the help of Meterpreter. And it's fairly easy to run this. All you have to do is just start the keyscan, and then you can just run keyscan dump anytime you want in order to get the result back. So I will say keyscan underscore start, and it will start the keystroke sniffer. So let me go to my Windows machine, and suppose that the target is trying to go to the internet and they are trying to open their Gmail account, okay? And as you might remember, Gmail uses HSTS, so we cannot get any information from this even though we run a man-in-the-middle attack, even though we are on the same network. And I'm going to give some arbitrary information in here, okay? I'm going to choose a name and a password and try to gather that information in my Kali Linux. So let me go here, and I already started this keyscan. Now I'm going to get the results by running keyscan dump. And if I hit enter, as you can see, the user went to the gmail.com, user gave the username as atilsem and the password as 123456. We can get this even though we are not on the same network, even though we are not on the same country, with the help of backdoors, with the help of Meterpreter, of course. And if anytime you want to capture a screenshot of the target machine, you just run screenshot. It's very easy. So if you run screenshot and hit enter, it will automatically save the current screenshot of the target computer. and you can open your files, and you will find the screenshot is saved on your home in your root directory, and you can double click on it to see the current screenshot of the user. So we're going to stop here, and we're going to see how to sustain our session in the next lecture. Hi, within this lecture, we're going to see how to make our session sustainable, which means that we're going to have our session continue having our session even though the target restarts the computer, or even though the target tries to delete our backdoor from their computer. And we have a module for that, which is called persistence. All this process is called persistence when we try to have a sustainable session. And we have some means to do it. And you have to do it after you open the connection with Meterpreter session, okay? And we're not going to use actually the Meterpreter session this time. We're going to use Metasploit framework in order to achieve these results. So this is a perfect example when you have to get into the background, okay? You will say background, and Meterpreter session will continue running in the background, because we're going to change the module. So we're not going to use multi-handler anymore. We're going to use something called Windows, Local, and Persistence. So it will take me into the persistence module, and if I say show options, it will ask me for some default configurations. As you can see, it has a delay of 10 seconds. So after 10 seconds, the computer restarts. This will be effective, and we will have our session. So even though the target restarts, reboots their computer, after 10 seconds, we will have the session if this works out well. So I'm not going to change this, but of course you may want to change this to 30 or 60 in order to have a longer waiting delay period, okay? But rather, I'm going to change another settings. First, we're going to set up the session. As you can see, the session is required, and we have to have a session running on the background in order to run this module. And we already have it, right? We have a current session with the target running on the background, and they are on session 1. So we have a exe name in here as well, and we're going to set this to be whatever process name that we want to appear on the target computer. So I'm going to choose something not suspicious like winexplore.exe. You can try to use your own imagination for that as well. So let me say show options one more time and see the other options here. We have a path, and this is optional as well. We have this session required, as I said before, and let me just actually set this session before we forget. As you might remember, we have this session as one running on the background. So if I say show options one more time, actually we are now done, but I'm going to add a manual option in here, which is an advanced option. We have never done this before, I believe, but you can reach the advanced options as well by typing show advanced. So here we have the advanced options, and they are not required. But here we have an exe custom option, which means that we get to choose our own payload to be delivered to the target machine as a sustainable, as a persistent backdoor. So if we don't do it, it will deliver a pre-built-in backdoor created by MSF console itself. But we already have our backdoors, so I'm going to use them. So I will say set exe custom, and I'm going to need to specify the path of my backdoor. So mine is under var w.html backdoors, and I'm going to specify the same backdoor that we have been using so far. Of course, we can choose another backdoor here as well. And I'm going to go with my backdoor anyway. So if I say show advanced one more time, I will see my exe custom is set to be my current new payload.exe. So now I'm ready to run exploit, and it will try to get this backdoor and inject it to the target user, target computer, by using the current session that we have on our hands. And as you can see, it interacted via session ID 1, and it managed to inject this payload as a sustainable, as a persistent backdoor into the target computer. Now I'm going to use exploit multi-handler one more time to test this, and I'm going to set payload to Windows Meterpreter reverse HTTP like we always do. Okay, Meterpreter HTTP, no, reverse HTTP. And after that, I'm going to say show options, and let us see if we already have the options. Yes, we already have the options. Now, if I run exploit, of course, I would get a session in here because we already have our backdoor running on the target computer. But let me try the alternative scenario where target actually finds out something fishy going on in their computer and tries to delete this and restarts their computer in order to be safe. So let me delete this currently payload.exe altogether from the Windows machine, and then I'm going to reboot this machine, restart this machine from here like a normal user would do if they understand something is going on, something hacky going on in their computer. Okay, and sometimes this persistence, this sustainable backdoor thing won't work out for you. You have to try with other backdoors. You have to try with some other settings like increasing or decreasing the delay. But don't worry about this. Even if you cannot make this work, we're going to learn how to create our own backdoor, how to make our own backdoor sustainable in the Python section as well. So you're going to do something much more advanced than this later on. And I should have run this exploit much before Windows restarts, because I should be listening once this connection comes back to me. But I believe this will be okay because we didn't miss the 10 seconds period. So wait for 10 seconds, and as you can see, I got the session opened in here. Now if I try to run sessions L, I will see the session running in here, and I couldn't get into session 2. Let me run sessions L. Yeah, I see the sessions in here. Let me try to go into it by running sessions 1. Yes, I believe there is some kind of a complication in here, but it works. Let me confirm this works by running pwd. Now I'm in the Windows machine. So now you know how to run a persistent backdoor, and as I said before, sometimes it doesn't work because of the complications, but you're going to learn much more advanced things than this in the Python section, don't worry. So even if you want to delete this persistent backdoor, you can do it by going here and deleting this RC file so that you would lose the connection between the target computer. Okay, so let's stop here, and within the next section we are going to discuss methods of hackers, steps they follow when they try to hack into a system.
Hi, now you know what to do after hacking and having a session with the victim computer. And also you have learned about some important concepts like migration and persistence. Now if you're ready, let's move on to the next section.